since year 2000, since I was a boy. So for myself, my current appointment with Scouting in Singapore is Program Commissioner for Sea Scouts, and also I'm an Assistant Leader Trainer for South Area. Yep. So I think to have a better start, I'd like to introduce some of our council member in Singapore Sea Scouts. Yep. As you know, Singapore is very small. It's surrounded by water. So yeah, these are our Sea Scout Council members. We don't have any specific hierarchy, as in like I'm higher ranking than you or whatnot. We are more towards a more linear kind of council. So we help each other. Yep. So you can see the first picture is me. Yep. And then there's few others that later will also share uh, their knowledge and experience with us for Sea Scouts. Okay. So to start off, for Sea Scouts in Singapore, other than our core scouting activities like pioneering, campcraft, whatnot, we also focus on more water-based sea activities. Yep. So one of a few will be Dragon Boat. Okay. So actually, for Sea Scout Council, actually we actually help. We are not so how do I put it? We don't run a unit on ground. We actually assist the unit on getting things done. Like let's say the units have certain financial problems or they have resource problems to organize activities like dragon boat or even like windsurfing and like sailing. Because as you know, water activities in Singapore is actually not the cheapest to begin with. Yep. So we organize a lot of that, and also kayaking. Yeah, one of the core essential activities that we use for our what you all call like your King Scout Award, or for us is the President Scout Award for them to go on expedition exploration around Singapore waters. Also, recently in the recent years, we have been exploring more activities. Example like scuba diving. So we actually organize quite a few activities for our boys, for our leaders to actually try them out, like scuba diving. Because scuba diving, to begin with, is not a very affordable sport for each and everyone. Yep. So with the help of our HQ, our council member, we pull together our resources and we organize these activities for them. Yep. So other than organizing core activities for the boys, we also organize training activities for the adults. Because for Singapore itself, a lot of school-based unit, they have their leaders, which is actually school teachers. And then for us, Singapore for CCA, we actually have a 5-day work week. So not a lot of volunteers can actually go down to the units, the schools to actually help out in the school training program. So we have this Sea Scout leader training course. So in that, not only will teach them the core activities, how to help the scout to progress from a year one scout to a year four scout, and then to get their President Scouts Award. We also teach them ceremonies, traditions that should be passed down year after year, boy after a boy, like how we do our colors, our sunset. Yep. And also we expose them to other activities, like let's say for this you can see is a Q boat. Not easily can be done for just a unit in Singapore because mainly also of the cost issue. Yep. Yep. And not only doing activities and participating in them, but we also educate and guide the adult leaders to actually know how to utilize, how to maintain, upkeep our assets, our sailboats, our powerboat, etc. at Scout HQ. Yeah. So that's the part for adult training. So we also assist the APR region uh, for international events. For example, the latest event that we have will be last year. Yep, it will be the ASEAN Sibori that we held for the first time. It was quite tedious, but of course it's very fruitful and it's very fun. So during the course, we gotten a lot of people from around the region and even exceeding APR region to come together in Singapore and participate in a lot of activities. For example, one of these will be kayaking at Marina Bay. Yeah, very beautiful scenery, and then yeah, they can kayak together. And of course, we don't forget the environmental education that we also can impart to the kids. Yeah, so for this, we also input in the eco kayaking. So we get the people to kayak around Marina Bay. It's a very nice place. But then they also pick up littles and understand the current ecosystem in the waters itself. Yep, which is pretty much very enriching and also interesting for them. Yep. Yeah, next this will be one of the keelboat sailing that we also have during Sibori at Marina Bay. You can see the background. There's the Marina Bay sands in the background. Yep. Other than all these sports, physical activities, we also have a lot of how do I put it, uh, engaging social activities between the campus itself. This is what we do here is what we call kayak, kalab kayak. So we actually have quite a number of condemned fiberglass kayak. So we actually reuse them, upcycling them, we whitewash them, and then we use it as a activity tool to actually get the campus participants to actually draw, doodle, and write down what they like during this camp or what their experience towards scouting is. Yeah. So this kayak is actually still at our campsite, hanging up on our campsite, displaying to anyone that uses our campsite. Yeah. Yeah, and of course, not to mention, we also have a very big campfire towards the end of the event itself. Yep. So yeah, it's very nice, very engaging. Everyone was participating and very eventful. Yep. So so much of that. So what we're going to go on next will be introducing how a typical scout, a typical boy in Singapore itself actually go through scouting in Singapore. So basically in Singapore itself, we will have traditionally two kinds of units. One will be, as you can see on from the slide, it will be a school-based unit following the secondary school curriculum. And then later on, another of our scouter will actually share how is it like to be an open unit. Okay, so for this, next up, I would like to invite Jif. Yep, Jif, can you hear me? Hello, Jif.
Oh, okay. Hi, can everyone hear me?
Okay, your turn.
Okay,
I mute my mic. I help you click.
okay. I say next, then click. Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm Scouter Jeep. So I'm from Condor Sea Scout Group, which is one of the school-based Sea Scout unit in Singapore. So today I will explain to you guys more about how Sea Scouting work in schools. Melvin, go click next. So that's me. I'm the assistant scout leader of Condor Sea Scout Group. Okay, next. Okay, so typically for a scout, when a scout enter a secondary school and they choose scout as a CCA, it will typically take around 3 to 4 years to complete the whole scouting program scheme that we have planned out for them. So first we have the scout batch, which will teach them the basic skill and fundamental of scouting and also sea scouting, and teach them the history behind scouting. Then next we will cover discover batch, which is right after. Next, we have the Discover Batch and Explorer and Voyager. So typically, this will take around 3 to 4 years for them to complete the whole thing before they even proceed with the trying to attain the Chief Commissioner Award, which is the highest award in Singapore for a scout session. Okay, next. So as a year one scout, some of the key highlight they'll take some of the key highlight activities and courses they'll take part in. First will be the 1-star kayaking course. As well, we are Sea Scouts, so what we teach how do we introduce them to sea activity? First, we will teach them the easier, more manageable kayaking, sea activity, which is the 1-star kayaking course. And follow up, we will, before we even go for the kayaking course, we actually have the first half of the year sending them for basic swimming lesson for those people that are non-swimmer. While for those people that are swimmer, we will send them for the advanced swimming lesson or even a live swimming course. Then that's for the first half of the year. Then for second half of the year, we will send them for the 1-star kayaking course. And also at the same time, we will send them for the Young Marina course 1, which is conducted internally among ourselves. So this is where we teach them the basic sea navigating and seamanship. So they will better understand how to navigate their sea in the future when they become a year two scouts. And last but not least, we also will cover the basic core scouting experience. As even though we are sea scout, we are still required to learn the basic fundamental of what the land scout do, which is camping, pitching of tent, learning all the different type of knots, and also doing pioneering project to like gangway, flag staff, or even our traditional sea mast. So for my unit, we even teach them both the 1-1 flag staff and the normal flag ceremony, and also the traditional sea mast, where we teach them how we conduct ceremony on board a ship. Yeah. Next. Okay, so for year two of scouting, we'll carry on with all the training, but we'll level up their sea scouting skill, where we send them for 2-star kayaking after they clear their 1-star, and also send them for advanced swimming lesson, as those non-swimmer, by the time when they finish year 1, they will be beginner swimmer, proficient enough to go for advanced swimming course. And next, we will send them for those already got their advanced swimming course, they will go for a life saving course. And next, we also will teach them the Young Marina course 2, which is where we teach them the more in-depth of seamanship, and also build mini project like mini motorized boat, and also a lighthouse. And we will cover more core scouting skill, where we teach them how to both navigate on land and sea. For land, we will use the topo map and the silver compass, while for sea, we will teach them how to use a sea chart that's meant for small craft like kayaks and sailboats, and we also teach them how to use the marina compass. And also, one of the key highlight for year 2 scouting, they will be assisting their crew leader in a 2-day 1-night day hike and kayaking expedition, which I will cover more in the later slides. Okay, so for year 3 scouting, we'll continue level on their basic sea scouting skill and land scout skill, but also add on more different type of courses. So we'll send them for 3-star kayaking training course. The reason why this 3-star is called training course is because when we send them for this course, they only get the training certificate, where they need to, and after that they go within 1 year, they are required to practice on their own free time, and also go for the 3-star assessment before they can be a full-fledged 3-star kayakers. So this is something different compared to 1 and 2-star. And next, by this time, majority of my scout boys will have attained their advanced swimmer, so they will proceed on with the life saving course. So by the end of set 3, the year 3 of scouting, they should clear their both advanced swimming course and also their life saving course. And also the key event for this year will be there will be a planning committee for 3-day 2-night camp that's conducted within our schools. So when they are part of the planning committee, they are actually planning for their year 1 and year 2 scout boys in our annual camp, which I will cover in the later slides too. And also during this year, we also will expose to them on scuba diving and windsurfing. Due to the scuba diving and the windsurfing course is very limited each year, so we'll rotate, see whether they won't be able to try both of it. So we will let them at least try one of it, either scuba diving or windsurfing, which is conducted by external vendor, but but the C Council will be the one conducting, like organizing a course for the Sea Scout unit around Singapore to take part in. And also there will be their time to lead their fellow Scout boys to a 2 day 1 night day hike and kayaking expedition. So this I'll cover in the next slide where we talk about the key event that I have in my unit. When it comes to year 4 in scouting, as year 3 in scouting, there'll be planning committee for the 3 days 2 night camp within our school. During year 4 scouting, they will proceed on with the planning committee on the day hike and kayaking expedition, and also there will be planning committee for community service project with external organization. As we do not want the scouts to do things within the school, we want them to expose to the external organization to help to plan community service project, so to give back to the community around the schools like old folks home and nursing house. Then after they have finished all of this, those potential and interested Scout will be nominated for the Chief Commissioner Award, where they go through interviews by the Scout HQ, and from there, the Scout HQ will decide whether they are qualified enough to attain the Chief Commissioner Award, which is the highest award in Scout section in Singapore. Next. So next, I'll talk to you about some key events that we have in my school. First, which is the Bukit Timah hike. So it's a day hike at Bukit Timah Nature Reserve. Bukit Timah Nature Reserve is like our Singapore highest hill. The height is about 163.63 meters, which is actually our highest. So for this day hike is a stepping stone for them to prepare themselves for our 2 day 1 night kayaking, day hike and kayaking expedition. So this route, which I plan will be around 15 kilometers, where we train them on their physicals and also their land navigation skill before we proceed on with the bigger activities. And also after this hike, we will have our Set 1 Scout investiture. We also known as for the year one that join Scout. And to our unit, we will invest them to be into our scouting family. Next. Yeah. Then next will be our annual exploration hike, which is the 2 day 1 night. The 2 day 1 night day hike and kayaking expedition, where we test the year 3 scouts. And on the land and sea navigation, while the year 2 will be the one assisting them, and year 1 will just experience the whole process of how a land and sea expedition will be like. So typically this hike will start from our Scout HQ, which is located in the middle of Singapore, and they will hike all the way to the east side of Singapore, where they will camp overnight there for a night. Then after that, in the next day morning, they will proceed on with launching their kayak to all the way to one of the small island, which is called the Coney Island. Have a lunch there, and they will come back to their final destination. So typically, the day hike will take the distance of the day hike is around 20 to 30 kilometers, depend on the various checkpoints. While the sea expedition is fixed around 4.31 nautical mile, convert to kilometer is around 8 kilometers. Next. So for the last key event that we have for my unit will be the annual camp, which is a 3 day 2 night camp. 3 day 2 night camping, which is held in our school, where the scouts are being tested in various core scouting skills like knots, pioneering, and basic campcraft, where they build a ridge tent, basic gateway, table and bench for them to camp overnight for 2 nights. And also they will be tested on their backwoodsman skills and also their own normal cooking skill, that we allow them to use gas and stove. Yeah, that will be all for my presentation.
Okay, yeah. So you all can see that our like Jeff, he presented his unit how it's being run. Is the civilian? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can
can
see
see
how
how
Jeff
we
presented.
presented.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are
we are
working
working
on
on
similarly
similarly
control
control
system,
system,
how
how
we
we
cascade
cascade
down
down
the
the
learnings
learnings
and
and
training
training
from
from
our
our
council
council
to the
to the
schools
schools
and
and
even
even
to the
to the
boys.
boys.
So
So,
okay,
okay,
next up
next up,
we have
we have
Benny.
Benny.
Benny
Benny,
actually,
actually,
maybe I let
maybe I let
Benny
Benny
explain
explain
himself.
himself.
Hey, hi everyone. This is hi. This is Benny Yip. I am also from Singapore. So as you just heard from Jiv, he had a very thorough explanation and sharing on the school-based unit. So what Melvin has asked me to do is to share a little bit more about community scouting. There are quite a number of open groups in Singapore. So in general, these are mostly what we call community-based scouting. We are not affiliated to schools, and we are, essentially most of us are parent-led groups, and I'm with a group called Viking. I'm a scout leader at Viking Open Group. I'm also a Sea Scout Program Council member. So for the next few minutes, I'll talk to you a little bit more about open groups, especially around Sea Scout Open Group in Singapore. Okay, next please, Melvin. So just a quick highlight on our group. We actually established back in 2002, and there are a few, generations, as you can imagine, because we are not really affiliated to schools. So some of the original founders are no longer with us, but they have passed on the batons to us. And actually, it is 100% parent-led group. All of us have currently the batch. All of us have children in the group, and we have around 35 to 40 members in the Cubs section. The Cubs section are 5 to 12 years old. Basically, they are all in primary schools, and around 10 adult leaders. And as an open group, actually half of the children are homeschool children. Homeschool children meaning that they are not really going to any schools, but they are educated by the parents at home. And the other half are actually from schools all around Singapore. So you may be wondering, why are there school children from other schools joining us as well? Sometimes it's because of word of mouth. They know that we are a group that they'd like to join because the friends are already here. Sometimes because maybe their primary school do not offer scouting, and the children wants to do a bit of scouting, so they would actually seek out open groups, and that's actually how I joined Viking. When I first started, my kids were homeschooled, and I wanted them to join an activity whereby they were able to get exposure, to outdoor activities, a bit of uniform groups and discipline and all that. Especially because my kids were homeschooled, right? So I called the Singapore Scout Association, and they just refer me and my kids to scouting with Viking. So that's how I started back in 2014, 13 or 14. So I started with like just a parent volunteer together with my kids. But after a while, then I as I was brought into this movement, then I joined as a uniform leader. Okay, so when my kids grew up and they have to move on beyond Cubs and join the Scout section, which is secondary schools age children in Singapore. So that's primarily 13 years old to about 16 years old. And at that point in time, we were at this juncture of whether to start a group like a land scout land unit, or whether we would start a group in Sea Scouting. So for the next slide or so, I'll talk you through some of the thinking behind the rationale for 4 years back why we picked Sea Scouting. So at this point in time, after about 4 years, our group has grown a little bit to about 13 members this year, with 4 adult leaders. Okay, and among the 13 youth members, about 60% of them are homeschool children. Okay, right. Next, please, Melvin. Okay, so 4 years ago, why did we pick sea scouting versus instead of land scouting? One of the key reasons is for practical reason, right? Because we are actually community-based scout units. We don't really have a base per se, right? We don't affiliate to the school. We don't have a lot of facilities to even store, things like spas or all the equipment, tents and things like that. And we don't even have a permanent place for us to hold regular meetings, right? Like what the school-based units get to enjoy. So when we picked that, what we did was we looked around all the scout units in Singapore. Most of them are actually school-based. And what we realized is, with the exception of 3, GIFs units being one of them, we at that point in time, at least, we understood that most of them are land-based units, right? For practical reasons, because they have the space, right? They have the venue. And for the teachers to bring the children up to do sea units, to do sea activities, actually require them a lot more work than to have the students do land-based, activities. So it just, I think, naturally ended up they all primarily are land-based units, and of course there are higher costs involved for the youth as well, right? If they were to take part in sea activities, right? Because as you know, spas, you can just buy a bunch and then they're just there the whole time, right? Every week in, week out, you can practice your knots and lashing on them. So that's what we figured. But for us as an open group, some of these constraints actually are our strength, because we don't have, for example, a vice principal in the school that will keep harping on us on many of these, administrative matters. So actually, we have a more flexibility in terms of how we handle our unit activities, and because all of us, the whole group is actually run by parents, right? So in terms of getting consent from the parents for sea-based activities, it comes really handy. So I think that is actually one of the key reasons why we picked it for Sea Scouting. And of course, because some of the unit leaders, including myself, we just love sea activities. I was a dragon boater when I was young, in my school days, and also do kayaking as well. And then we have also members in the team that were in the Navy. So naturally there's this inclination towards sea-based activities. So we picked that, actually that worked out for us so far because of this focus on sea-based activities. The challenge for us to look for a place to do knots and lashings become the non-issue, because we can just easily go to the park next to the coast and just tap onto the resources that the Singapore Scout Association has. So it has a number of kayaks that we can tap onto. There are also windsurfing facilities and these. So these are some of the things that we really appreciate what we can tap onto from the Singapore Scout Association. And for us to keep the unit size to about 15 or so, actually is a nice number, because otherwise we would not be able to go out as a group. Obviously, there are a limit in terms of number of kayaks that we have, right? But at the same time, even in Sea Scouting, as Melvin mentioned earlier on, we will still have some of these are land-based activities, right? So we still need to look for pioneering equipment, and whatnot. And of course, we need to recruit parents to be uniform leaders. So as opposed to some of the school unit, whereby it naturally has a bigger draw for some of the alumni who used to be scouts to come back to help. We typically do not have that, right? So a lot of times when a scout leader's own children left the group, after some time they would also leave the group. So it is very important for us to keep recruiting parents who actually are passionate about their children's activities, and a lot of time we use it as a hook, right, to tell them that it is actually a very precious bonding time for the parents to get involved themselves, so that through all these outings, camping is actually a tremendous opportunity for the parents, especially fathers, to bond with the children, right? Because a lot of times, as you know, sometimes the fathers are not really good at discussing things at an emotional level, so to speak, right? But in the outdoor activities, when you have to teach the youth some skills, actually these are all very good bonding moments. So we have been using these as hook to bring in parents to help us run the troop. So as you can see, there's just some pictures to show that we focus a lot of kayaking, obviously, and because we have access to the kayaks that Singapore Scout Association has, and that's a tremendous resource, right? And of course we will make full use of it. We also took part in some of the activities that Melvin and the council organized. As you can see, some of the dragon boat set outings. It is a dragon boat is too big just for our troop to go and organize. So we would, in these kind of outings, we usually would join and leverage on what the Melvin and his crew organize for us. So next slide, I will just talk you through a little bit more on the importance of parents. So when the youth came in, the first thing we told the parents is, this is a 100% parent-led group, right? And therefore, all parents, whether you want to be a uniform leader or not, you have to help out with the running of the troop. So we have treasurers, for example. These are ladies. Some of them are accountants as a day job, but they are not really outdoorish, right? However, what we ask them to do is help us in the administration, right? Be a treasurer, help us with the transport, sometimes to help us with the food. So these are all the things that we parents run as a troop. And I think all the parents, we make it a point to before the youth actually sign on, we already told them, right, this is their obligation, this is their responsibility. And I think when we package it together as part of the whole experience, including the bonding with the children, and I think most of the parents would have bought into this idea, right? And because they are also involved in the running of the troop, there are just naturally a lot more things to discuss, right? When the youth go home and then they can have discussion about what happened. There's just so many more common topics for us to talk about. So tomorrow, actually, we are going to have an investiture over Zoom. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we were not able to do it outdoor as a troop. Right now in Singapore, there is still a maximum number of group is only up to 5 packs, even if it's in an outdoor setting. So we figure out that we have as a group, right, CUPS level as well as a Scout level. That means primary school as well as secondary school. We have, I think tomorrow we have close to 10 new members to be invested. So we, together with the parents and all that, it is a logistic nightmare if we were to do it as a group, right? And of course, there are people who take pictures and post it on Facebook, post it on Facebook, and of course that will that would be a hoo-ha, right? Oh, why is this scout troop, violating all the rules? Yeah, so therefore we are doing it over Zoom, and tomorrow we'll have one uniform leader that is who is a parent, a father, and he's from Malaysia. He used to be a King Scout, so will be a good addition to the troop. He has been sitting on the sideline for the last 2 years, so finally we convinced him to join, and yeah, we have been going out for kayaking trips and all that expeditions for the past few months. And finally, he said that yeah, it's a good thing for him to join, and so tomorrow he will be invested into the Viking troop. So that's all. That's all the things that I want to share. Back to you, Melvin.
Okay. Yep. Actually, we still got a lot of time left. Yep. So for now, maybe if there's any question from the floor, for me or for Chief or Benny, y'all can voice out. Meanwhile, let me stop this presentation.
Good evening, if I may just come in here at this point in time. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear me. Yeah, it's interesting to learn a bit of what is going on in Singapore as far as the sea scouting is concerned. I'm actually the Deputy Chief Commissioner for Sarawak side. I'm not a sea scout in my life before. I was always a land creature, right? The thing that always makes me wonder is when you come to sea scouting, I heard a lot of questions here being asked is the safety aspect of it. Most parents are rather worried about, kids being put in water activities, so to speak, especially if you live in the community of Chinese people, Anybody, how do you address those issues? Do you have that sort of concerns in Singapore?
Yeah, I think this kind of issue is always and ever present in our scouting context. Yeah, so what we do here is we always have certified, how do I put it, trainers, safety vehicles, safety boats all around us. So prior to the activities or courses, right, we will state like, I think y'all will also need a consent form, right, for the parents to sign off saying that, okay, my child blah 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 is going for kayaking 1-star, blah blah blah. So we always make sure the courses are conducted by certified trainer, and also like safety vehicles, yeah, are all around. Yeah. So I think at a point of time now, it became not a precaution, but it became a constant thing that we always do for all our activities and causes. Yeah, I hope that answer your question.
Yeah.
I think
Hi, this is Benny here. Maybe I can chime in from the open group community scout perspective.
Hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
So sorry, John, can you repeat yourself? Just now you were a bit like broken off.
Yeah, no, I think my internet connection is a bit on the lousy side, if I can use the word, and I missed part of your answers to what you have said, but I think I got the gist of what you're trying to say, these issues of safety, I think is all over the place, not only in Singapore. I think in Malaysia especially now. Is increasingly concerned. I think Charles is in education. Lots of parents these days are very concerned about that sort of things. Scouting is not like the old days when you want to chop a tree, you just go ahead and light a fire wherever you like. You want to go hiking, you just pack your bag and disappear. It's no longer that sort of things. I was just wondering about the safety aspect of it. And also, I noticed that Benny is from an open unit. I think Melvin is you from a school or somewhere, school base or G for somebody, right? We have this problem in Malaysia, especially in Sarawak side. Many of our scout troop, I think most of it, if I can say so, are school based, and we have, deal with the education department itself is a whole volume of rules and things like that. So some people may conceive or see it that Sea Scouting may not be too appropriate, but there again, we are very active Sea Scout. People like Charles in this group in Miri are all coming up very well, which is something rather excited for us.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Maybe just to add on, I think for school-based, Sea Scout school-based in Malaysia, as what Skip Melvin just mentioned, yeah, for any water activities, whether it be for Sea Scouts or even for Malaysia, we don't use the term land scout, we just call them the normal scouts. We do need to follow some procedures laid out by the Ministry of Education, particularly if you are involved in water activity, we need to watch out, get the consent from the parents. We need to make sure that there are some safety, particularly those who are holding some licenses for the water saving this license is still invalid. The only then we can proceed with the procedure.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for joining us tonight. So
I think there's a question for.
The other question.
Yeah. Okay. Continue, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just interested whether as scout leaders only, teaching yourself a bit of seamanship and stuff like that before you can teach your young kids and so forth.
Yeah. Yes. For our side, the seamanship actually is covered during our Sea Scout leader training course that is organized for the adults, so that they can bring back the knowledge of how to impart the knowledge and skills of seamanship to their boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because seamanship is not like something you can just read off the internet and practice on your own, right? So we have that Sea Scout leader training course to actually let them learn and then experience and also exchange knowledge with other Sea Scouters in the Singapore community itself.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, because I quite interested in what's going on in Singapore. I've not been really in touch with Singapore Scout for a number of years. I was trained in Camp Serimbun before with my third beats years ago. I think at least about 10 years or so ago already. So I must have lost touch with what's going on in Singapore. But it's good to know that there is some sort of a course for Sea Scout leaders. And I think in Malaysia, we have that, because I must admit I was not much into Sea Scout things. But lately, I noticed some gentlemen here from the Sarawak side are quite keen on it. So I just thought maybe I'd drop by your chat now and try to learn a bit more. Thanks anyway for your information.
Yep. Actually, for our Sea Scout adult training, it's still in the beginning, middle phase, because now we are just we just set up the Sea Scout leader training course. So we're actually planning to actually advance further to a higher tier of training for the adult leaders. Yeah, which have more requirements and then also upgrade their level of competency and skills to actually depart the knowledge to the scouts itself.
Melvin, sir, can I share a bit?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Kachun. I was teaching previously for 7.5 years. Yeah, so I give a bit of sharing on how to handle parent concern from teacher point of view. I think the number one things that I always emphasize to parents is that we must follow a progressive training scheme. This is very important because you have to get your kids to start off with like getting them swimming certified before they go for 1-star kayaking and then 2-star kayaking. And then you need to spend a lot of time in letting the parent know that, you know, at every stages of their training, it is within the acceptance level of their ability. Like, for example, you won't expect them without getting 1-star and then get them to kayak in the open water. So all training are done in, you know, freshwater reservoir and stuff like that. So this kind of thing had to be emphasized to let them see. At times where you are having your 1-star, 2-star training, invite the parents to be there also to see the training so they are more assured, because we can always imagine the worst case scenario, right? Because we are not there to see. You always think, oh, because I'm not there, I imagine my son trapped in a capsized kayak. So being there is very important. Right? Then that's how you can be assured. The other thing is you need to kind of like over time refine your SOP. We have in Singapore, we practice this risk assess management, right? Which is a table of matrix, like how you go about planning everything to be safe point by point. You know, what's with this concern, with this hazard, what is the action taken? For concerned parent, they can look through, and then if they want to refine it, you know, you must be open to all leaders to be willing to make that modification. One simple modification will be like, my kid is a weak swimmer, but definitely he can kind of like maneuver with the look LBV. I don't know, not LBV, what I call that, flotation device, PFD, right? So for that kind of youth, you get them to do simple 1-star, and then maybe it's okay that they help out for subsequent event, like, you know, like help to wash kayak when the rest are progressing to 2-star kayaking. It doesn't mean that, oh, because you are not ready for 2-star, then you don't have to be physically there. He can be there to observe, and then he eventually will do his 2-star maybe 2 years later than the rest. Something along that line. Yeah. I hope I answered John's question.
Yeah, you have been very helpful in it. It's certainly an eye-opener. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fong. Is there any other questions from the floor? Anyone else want to ask questions? But yes. While waiting for Ibat to write his question, can I ask Mr. Jeff, Skip Jeff, concerning the school-based Sea Scout movement, particularly at this pandemic, in fact, that is ongoing. What are the other alternatives that maybe your school have been doing to ensure the continuity of the Sea Scouting at your school?
Okay, so regarding the question of right now we are having a pandemic, the COVID-19 situation, how the school actually tackle the situation for our CCA session, which is very limited already. So what we actually do is we conduct Google Meet session like this. So we'll go through different type of sharing session on the seniors or the senior scout, which is the year 3 or year 2 scouts. They'll teach their juniors on the basic skills that can be conducted through Google Meets. For example, like the basic knot and lashing. So they'll go through like each and individual knot. Then after that, they'll be tested on a time base and stuff to actually see how much they have learned through this session. And also constantly we will have feedback from the juniors and everyone to actually think on what are the ways to better improve and make our ECCA session more meaningful and fruitful. So we are still able to continue to progress on our progress scheme and not how to say short-changing the scouts or not able to attain the chief commissioner award, even though due to the pandemic right now. But right now we are still in the midst of trying to fine-tune on the ECCA session to make it more fruitful, as a lot of things can't be actually covered, like pioneering and stuff. It can't be covered, so we are trying to find other alternative ways to actually make it more other authority to let us conduct these various topics. But right now we are still doing quite okay conducting. We are right now using the platform of Google Meet to conduct all the CCA session as for now. Yeah, I hope they answer your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. That's, I think it's the same situation for most of the Sea Scouts group in Malaysia. I'm not too sure about the other group, but for my school, we're also struggling how to keep the activity ongoing, and this is one of the ways how we to ensure the activities is continue to go on, and also to help the scouters to explore what are the other alternatives we can explore by exchanging ideas and experiences with you all in Singapore.
Actually, for Singapore itself, water activity is actually open up. It's just that the stringent requirements, actually, the schools wouldn't like to have them, the teachers, and then of course the instructors, because Singapore we limited to 5 per group, and then per session you can have like maybe 2 groups, but then to have multiple instructors and then observe safe distancing, temperature taking, water breaks every 2 hours. So actually, I approached a few instructors, and then they told me that it's so troublesome. So let's just wait for further information from the government to let it more relax out on the requirements. Any other questions? Or Vincent, I don't know. Do you have a question to ask the Malaysia counterparts?
Yeah, before I get skipper Helmi is with us right now. He was having something on. Yes, is that regards to you, sir?
Oh, nice. It's been a while since I last saw him. What is the new normal for sea scouting activities? Okay. I think for us, for my personal ideology, my own thinking is that for sea scouting activity, most of our progressive scheme and our courses requires like example, like if you go sailing or kayaking, they requires you to swim 50 meter without the aid of a life jacket, right? So by can't doing that, we actually cannot do any water activities. Am I not wrong to say that? Yeah. So for now, what we can do at best is actually more of the theory part base of things. Yeah, like example, Jeep is working with me. We are coming up with we are going to break up the sailing course into 2 parts. So basically the theory part and also the practical part. So we can actually release the theory part, the theory test to anyone participating. And then once the government let us to go out to waters again, we can actually carry on the practical. And in a way, we make the course more efficient because we don't need to wait until we can touch the water and then we start learning the theory. So we start to learn first, and then we apply what we learn once it's open for us. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much the common normal now, because not only sea scouting, normal land scouting, air scouting, I think even schools like when you the tertiary industry or whatnot, they are pretty much doing the same thing, doing online learning. Yeah. Yeah. So Charles, you mentioned a question. What's the minimum age of joining Sea Scout? Oh, okay. So for Singapore water activities per se, right? We have a minimum age requirement of 13 years old. So basically, individual can join Sea Scouting at the age of 13. So actually, we are also discussing if we want to open Sea Scouting to the Cub Scout, but that is still in the pipeline, not so soon. Yeah. I see Hilmi is online. Yeah.
Hi, this is Vincent. I'm I this is a question to the Malaysia side. I want to ask, what about your side, the activities within these periods, and also for leaders. I heard there's you all have this dolphin badge. How do we work to get the badge on your side? Yeah.
And Skipper, help me. You want me to answer or you want to answer?
Skipper Charles, you think you can answer? If you think you can answer, you can proceed. No problem. I just get in. Yeah. So please,
Okay,
I
sir.
will add on if anything insufficient. I will add on. No problem.
All right, sure. Okay. I think for Malaysia Sea Scout we have this Marine one actually, dolphin badge. There are two parts. One is the basic and one is the advanced. I have not joined the advanced. Prior to this, before I joined the Sea Scout, actually I'm quite anti Sea Scout. So this is the profession. But after I joined the training, and it was held in Miri itself. It was 2 years back in Miri, at this SMK Agama Miri. It really opened my eyes that at first we were asking, to start a Sea Scout movement. How are we going to find our own boats? How are we going to run the activities? Because a few years back we had a sea Bori in Miri, and then our state government actually announced that the whole entire Miri city will become a Sea Scout based movement. So all the secondary school in Miri Sea Scouts will be seen as wearing white uniform. So after I joined the training, which is the dolphin badge that you mentioned just now, we are being exposed to different activities. For example, there's water, how to call that, the water formation, floating formation. Actually, we got involved with, because most of the scout leaders in the school base, we have no exposure at all. We don't have any, some of them don't even have any scouting experience before. So one more to say about this sea element. So we actually got involved with some of these government agency. For example, the Jabatan Laut Malaysia, which is the Malaysia Sea Department. We got them to come in to teach us how to read the sea map, how to conduct floating, all this water saving thing. We even have a practical session where we even go to charts, reading charts, and then we even went to visit one institute, which is to produce seafarers, how they use the simulation to produce seafarers. So all these activities really got my interest in how we can actually cooperate with different agencies. One of them is also this Marine Enforcement Agency, which they normally go towards the sea and enforce the sea laws. So we also learn how do they function. So as a result of that, after that, I actually used some of these ideas for my own Sea Scouts and brought them so that they can achieve some of their sea badges on top of the normal Scouts badge scheme. Skip, you want to add on? I think I just sum out for general.
Oh, sure. First of all, what we prepared for the leaders is actually not a dolphin badge. It is an orca badge actually. So there is a philosophy behind that that we taught to the leaders when they attend our course. But orca is the biggest organism in the dolphin family. So even though you call it a killer whale, it is in the dolphin family. So the main differences between Malaysia and other countries are the school-based system. So this is the challenge that we face right now. So we have to prepare as much space for the Sea Scout leader to have a hands-on practical session. You know, because at some schools it is hard to get it. Okay, so I always divided all these Sea Scouting categories into five major categories. The first one is the naval tradition. So in naval tradition is where we learn about the colors and sunset and all the general sea terms and how we use the watch system at sea and our watch keeping system and so on. Then the second element is the seamanship skills, which covered from the navigation, sea navigation, boat handling, meteorology, and so on. Then the third one is the safety and sea survival. So this is the third element. In the skipper basic course, we also let them train on the life raft for that purpose. But there is some other small element in sea survival that we don't really cover yet. But sea survival, it's more to, you know, seems like you can say when you are stranded at some place, what can you do to survive? You know, that's different from what happened during shipwreck or something like that. But you know, after that, what will happen after that? If you are on a life raft and you got stranded, how you want to get fresh water from seawater? Okay, how can what type of food that you can eat if you are stranded on a you know abandoned island or something like that? What can you do? Okay, so the fourth element is the water recreation. So water recreation is either sailing or kayaking or rowing, boating, scuba diving, whatever recreation that can be related to sea and water. And the last element is the marine conservation. So in marine conservation, we focus more on marine sciences. If we can do anything to help making the sea environment better, you know, either you want to, you know, if you go to Miri, for example, last time during Sibori in Miri, we do beach cleanup at Marina Bay. I think Marina Bay is maybe you can say the worst place affected by the tide pattern. So all the rubbish that floating at sea will end up there on the shore. So that's where we do beach cleanup. At some point, we will do mangrove planting, you know, and we have shark conservation and other things that related to it. So that's how we approach sea scouting in Malaysia, and that's how we train our leaders. I think that's enough for the time being. If Skipper Melvin want to know more or Skipper Winston want to know more, can give me a call. Okay, kidding. Yeah.
All right, we have another one or two questions before we close up. Maybe one question, quick question for Skip Melvin. I just want to find out, the Singapore Scout Association separate the wood badge training for the Sea Scout leaders from the normal from the Land Scout, or you actually combine together for the wood badge scheme?
Actually, for that, right? Typically, our wood badge training scheme is for Land Scout. So with the Sea Scout leader training module coming into place, right, we are moving it into one of the requirements for wood badge course for Sea Scout leaders. Yeah, so you can say our wood badge course, the fundamentals are covered for in all section, Land, Sea, Air, Cub Scout, Scouts, Venture, Rover. And if you're a Sea Scout leader, you are required to actually sign up for the Sea Scout leader course. Yeah. So previously, I think 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we pilot this Sea Scout leader training course in this perspective of having it into the training team course for UBATCH. So last year onwards, we actually migrate this course into, it's a joint effort between the Sea Scout Program Council and also the National Training Team. Yeah, so that will set the guideline, the the basis of when a new Sea Scout teacher come into scouting, they are required to actually join this course to experience and gain knowledge about Sea Scouting and how to run the Sea Scout unit in Singapore per se. Yeah. So as of now, it's not how do I put it? Actually, anyone can take this Sea Scout leader training course. Yeah. So by right, we plan to organize one this year, but due to the COVID, we actually postpone it to next year. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. Just curious, this time they mentioned that the Sea Scouts only join for year 1, year 2, year 3. Are you implying secondary 1, secondary 2, and secondary 3?
Yes, for that one, I'm planning set 1 to set 3 just to, because I'm not sure whether you all know the education system in Singapore, so I classify as year 1 to year 3. So it's technically set 1 to set 3.
All right. So which means after set 3, they no longer join Sea Scouts?
No, they'll be still part of Scout, but the scheme will roughly take about 3 to 4 years. So step 4 is where they actually end off their Sea Scouting program as a under Scout session, where after they close everything, they will go for the Chief Commissioner Award, the interview. So after, because due to step 4, they are having their Cambridge N and O level, so we are not able to touch them after the second half of the year. So step 4 years is where they tie down everything and go for the interview and end their CCA for step 4. So from there onwards, there's a continuity where they come back as a venture scout, and from 17 to 18 where they will have a new set of program scheme for them, and after that will be a rover scout. So technically right now I'm the rover scout and also the alumni for Condor Scout group. So for me, I'm more of going back to assist my teacher in charge in training the juniors train the junior and plan out new program based on the new scheme that has been given by Scout HQ.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, maybe one last question before we close up for tonight. For those who have just joined us, would appreciate if you can answer a simple feedback form so that we can roughly know how many people have joined this session, and also just to get your reply, your feedback on how we can improve this webinar. Thank you. I posted that again at the chat group.
Yeah, I think for those who joined late, not to worry. I will share the slides and info that we discussed about previously to Charles, and then I think he can disseminate with you guys.
All right, if no question, maybe I'll ask a question. For every proficiency badge that the Scouts pursue, do they need to produce a logbook for Singapore Sea Scouts?
Actually, that is depend on what proficiency badges they are taking. So example, for let's say kayaking, if they went for the course 1 star, they just show us the certification, and then yes, yeah, we can give them a badge. So as for something like, let's say, a collector badge, they need to have a collection of over 6 months. Then yeah, of course, we will need to have a look at their logbook to justify it's legitimate. Yeah. So it depends, varies from different badges to badges. And some badges might include having a certification and also a logbook of some kind to justify. Yeah.
So those for Singapore side, they all still observe a hard copy version of logbook.
Yeah, actually the Scouts are still submitting hard copies logbook, but of course we also encourage them to use the virtual world. They can use a Google document or even use a social media like Instagram to document down the pictures when they go kayaking or during activity, and then write a few noteworthy reflection on the post itself. Yeah, it's still ongoing. Yeah, it's still not perfect yet. Yeah, but it's still ongoing.
All right, so one last question for me. Actually, I have quite a number. Besides pursuing all these badges that is ongoing, is there any other activities or program that the Singapore Scout Association run for the Sea Scouts? Just for example, SDG, Safe from Harm, or maybe there's some other
Oh,
initiative.
okay. For let's say in general, right, our efforts for SDG Safe from Harm is under our Better World framework, our Better World team in Singapore itself. So yeah, they are ongoing organizing activities, and also not always they will involve Sea Scout, but then for some activities like let's say they want to clean up at a beach, yeah, they will engage us. So it is not a initiative that from Sea Scout Council or Sea Scout per se itself, we come up with the initiative, but we work together with our Better World team to actually conceive this activity itself. Yeah.
All right, I see. All right, I think time is against us. We're way past 9:30. Is there any other? I think we're gonna close. Maybe I'd like to invite Skipper Helmi and also representative from the Sarawak State, just to give a few words before we close. Skipper Helmi still with us?
Still, I just switch off my mic and camera for a little while. Can you hear me, Skipper Charles?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Okay, great. First of all, just a short closing speech before we end our webinar tonight. So, when I look back to the past, when I want to revive sea scouting in Malaysia back then, back in 2008, actually I was getting a lot of assistance from Singapore Sea Scouts. Okay, back then my contact was Skipper Loh Chi Hua. He was the leader of Southern Wave Sea Rover crew. So he lent us a lot of material to be displayed in our first ever Sea Scout exhibition back then in 2008. So I believe this webinar tonight is just another good cooperation between us. And I believe since we are a neighboring country, we can benefit each other a lot. Okay, especially in terms of sea scouting activities and development. Hopefully to work closely with you guys in the future. Okay, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. Okay, for you can say responding to Skipper Charles' invitation. Yeah, so yeah, I think we should be more open to this kind of discussion in the future. Exchange ideas so that we can improve our Sea Scout better. And please forgive me for joining you guys a little bit late, but this is Idul Adha season, right? So some relative came to my house to visit, so that's why. Okay. Other than that, if there is anything less from our side, you guys can have my apology. So looking forward to meet you guys in the near future, Skipper Melvin and the friends. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Is Mr. John still around? Mr. John, would you like to say something, sir?
Yes, just to thank all of you for your participation here, and it's a good opportunity. I find that this is the first time actually I've actually gone into a web, which is quite boring. I've learned a fair bit of things which I can use.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Breaking up.
Okay.
All right.
We hope to catch up with you people. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I think I'll pass back to Skip Melvin. We'll have to say some last few words, or you want to invite some of your national leaders. I know Skip Nording is here. Ya, selamat Hari Raya Adil Adha.
I think all have been said lah. So yeah, we should continue having this kind of close engagement with each other. So I think the last thing I want to say is can we like smile and then post for a screenshot, and then we can post on our own Facebook.
Sure, very much. I'm waiting for that moment. All right, I think that will be all. I'd like to thank Singapore Scout Station, particularly Skip Melvin and the speakers just now. I think you all did a wonderful job in sharing your stories of sea scouting in Singapore. I hope maybe in the next time on our site we can share our side of the stories of sea scouting in Malaysia. Maybe we can invite all of us on our video so we can take a group photo together. All right. Okay, smile. I'll take one. 1, 2, 3. All right, another one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you very much for participating in this our webinar. Before you sign off, please remember to fill in the Google form that I prepared, and I hope to see you again for the other session. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
Charles. Thank you.